Hello! I know 5 minutes will be boring for people who hate learning, so I will try to make this video interesting so that you'll get an understanding of the material presented easily. I'll start with a brief introduction to one of the subtopics in advanced grammar. Yup, imaginary conditions. At this point, is this starting to sound interesting? It doesn't seem to be yet. Okay, you know what? It's possible that you're referring to the use of conditional sentences to express unreal or hypothetical situations. In grammar, conditional sentences often involve the use of if clauses to introduce a condition and the corresponding result or consequence. There are different types of conditional sentences, and one of them is the unreal or imaginary conditional. Unreal conditionals are used to talk about situations that are not true or are unlikely to happen. These sentences often use past tense in the if clause and would, could, or might in the result clause. In more detail, this is included in the first subtopic on imaginary conditions, namely the use of otherwise. In the context of imaginary conditions in grammar, otherwise is often used to introduce the consequence or result that would occur if the condition specified in the if clause is not met. It is commonly used in second conditional sentences, type 2, to present an alternative outcome when the unreal condition is not fulfilled. For example, if it rained, otherwise we would have gone for a picnic. In this example, the unreal condition is that it didn't rain, and the result is that we didn't go for a picnic. Otherwise helps to present the alternative scenario or outcome. It's worth noting that while otherwise is commonly used in this context, it's not exclusive to imaginary conditions and can also be used more broadly to indicate an alternative or contrasting situation in various contexts. However, within conditional sentences, it often serves to highlight the alternative outcome in case the condition is not met. So far, have you understood? I hope you did. If it's not, play the video back. I hope I can assume that you just need to focus more on listen the explanation. If you understand, let's move on to the next subtopic, namely the use of imaginary conditions in the context of present and unspecified time. In the context of imaginary conditions with present and unspecified time, we often use the second conditional, type 2, in English grammar. The second conditional is used to talk about unreal or hypothetical situations in the present or future. It is often employed when the condition is not fulfilled or is unlikely to be fulfilled. For example, if I had more free time, I would travel to exotic places. In this example, the condition "I had more free time" is presented as something unreal or unlikely in the present, and the result "I would travel to exotic places" indicates what would happen if that condition were true. When talking about present and unspecified time in the context of imaginary conditions, the second conditional allows us to express hypothetical scenarios that are not happening in reality. It's important to note that the verb tense in the if clause is in the simple past, while the result clause uses modal verbs like would, could, or might, followed by the base form of the verb. Still don't understand? Well, I'll give you another example with an explanation. If the educational system were better, they could train more doctors. What is the implied meaning? It means the educational system is not adequate, and, as a result, they cannot train many doctors. Understandable enough? Okay, I hope it's enough, because we are going to move to another topic, which is imaginary conditions with should or were, plus infinitive. Imaginary conditions with should or were, plus infinitive, are variations of the second conditional, type 2. These constructions are used to express hypothetical or unreal situations. Let's break down each. Imaginary conditions with should, plus infinitive. This structure is used to express hypothetical situations, often with a sense of advice, recommendation, or obligation. Example: if it should rain, we should stay indoors. This sentence presents a hypothetical situation where the condition is the possibility of rain. The use of should in the result clause suggests advice or a recommendation. The speaker is saying that if it were to rain, which is not certain or happening at the moment, it would be advisable for us to stay indoors. Next, imaginary conditions with were plus, infinitive. This is a common form of the second conditional, particularly when the subject is I, he, she, or it. Instead of using was, were, is used for all subjects. For example, if I were rich, I would buy a big house. This sentence expresses a hypothetical or unreal condition related to the speaker being rich. The use of were instead of was is a characteristic of the second conditional when the subject is I, he, she, or it. The speaker is not currently rich, but in this imaginary scenario, if they were rich, the result would be buying a big house. Both constructions convey unreal or hypothetical conditions and their potential consequences. They are often used to discuss situations that are unlikely to happen or are contrary to reality. The use of should implies a suggestion or recommendation, while were plus infinitive is a more general form of the second conditional. In both examples, the structure of the second conditional is employed to convey situations that are not true or likely in the present or future. These constructions allow speakers to discuss unreal conditions and their potential outcomes.